Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Summon Fey.
Well,
All right,
it's
this
very much one of these
is
spells.
what's that?
It's very much a change in mood spell. A little summony, friendly. It's always great.
All right, but it's also another one of these summon spells from which book was it?
Yes. Tasha's Cauldron of
Tasha's
Everything.
Cauldron. All right.
The big summoning revamp. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is the second, more or less, printing of 5.5, as I consider it. Basically, the patch notes for the player's handbook is how I treat Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. A lot of, you don't have to take this feature, but I mean, like, if you want the class to be better, you should take this feature. Which is, I'm gonna call it shady. I don't like it. They should have just come out and said, like, yeah, we're making changes to the next PHP printing, but it's not there. This is a third level conjuration spell for druids, rangers, warlocks, wizards. You cast it for an action. It's got 90-foot cast range. It requires a gilded flower worth at least 300 gold pieces, which is notable because it means you actually have to have that to find that. Once you find that, you can do this. Concentration up to an hour. Like all of these, this text is going to sound very familiar. So you call forth a Fey spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space you can see within range. The corporeal form uses the Fey spirit stat block, which is listed below it in the spell text. Whenever you cast the spell, choose its mood. Fuming, mirthful, or tricksy. The creature resembles a Fey creature of your choice, marked by the chosen mood, which determines one of the traits in the stat block. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points. The spell ends. Creature is an ally to you and your companions in combat. It shares your initiative count, taking its turn after yours. It obeys your verbal commands. No action required by you. If you don't issue any, it takes the dodge action and uses it to move to avoid danger. And then finally, higher levels, it gets benefits based off of the stat block. So you pick a Fey, you get its moods. Nifty. The other things that are notable here, like all of these, it gets multi-attack equal to its level divided by 2. So it has that many attacks, and it always rounds down. So this is a third level spell, so at the gate it gets 1 attack. If you get it as a 4th level spell, it makes 2 attacks. And that is way better than 1 attack.
This is good.
Yes, twice as good, one might say. Additionally, they all have the Fey step bonus action, and then depending on your mood, they do one of 3 things. They're either they get advantage on attack rolls if they're fuming, they can charm things if they're mirthful, or they can fill a space of magical darkness until the end of its next turn if it's tricksy. This is neat.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem... Go for it.
I was just gonna say, I guess the moods really depend on what you need out of the spell. They're all very different.
Yes. Fuming Fey are like supposed to be the attacky ones. They're the ones that you're like, okay, we're going into fight. We're going to use this as a multi-attack with a d6 plus 3 piercing plus a d6. The on hit does do 2d6 damage, one of it being piercing, one of it being force, and then 3 plus spell level piercing damage. So this thing does hit like a boss. Whenever that thing's multi-attacking, you're getting 46 plus 6 plus your proficiency bonus times 2. Or sorry, times spell level times 2. It ends up being a lot of damage. And that's just great as a baseline. And if you want them to have advantage on the attack rolls, you can have it Fey step into combat, smack something, and smack something again, and you have the 4th level spell. And you're pretty happy with that. Like, worst case scenario, this is a better spiritual weapon where you're summoning a Fey creature that beats the shit out of things that's fuming. And that's probably like, if you want to run into combat, even though it has an hour duration, you're like, we really care about the combat thing here. You'll take fuming, you'll send your, you can call it whatever you want. You can make it look like a dryad or a red cap or whatever. It's never going to have those abilities. It's always just going to be the Fey Spirit stat block. But you can then send it in and it'll stab things with the short sword and you'll be happy with it. Alternatively, where I think it gets a lot more interesting is with the other 2. Because the other 2 give some opportunities for build specifications and let you like kind of work with them in some nifty ways. So Mirthful is... they can force creature within 10 feet of it after teleporting, because again, Fey step is a misty step basically. They can force creature within 10 feet of where it lands to make a wisdom saving throw. Unless it succeeds, it's charmed by the Fey for a minute or until it takes damage. They can just do that whenever it wants, every single turn, no condition or thinking about how that creature feels about the Fey or the people fighting it. So in combat, this is gonna be a way to say it teleports it next to something, charms it, and then kicks the shit out of it, and then it's still just charmed by one. Oh, I'm sorry, until it takes damage. Charms the thing it next to, and then attacks the thing to its right, and then the thing that it charmed can't attack it. That's nifty. More interestingly, I find is out of combat. The Fey Spirit you get is small, so they're gonna be able to fit in some odd spaces. You can get them to teleport like discreetly, and then you can start charming some things. There's probably some fun to be had in using your little Fey Spirit to charm a bunch of different stuff. It understands and speaks the languages you do, so you can use it as like a charisma tool, which I think is nifty. I think it's like perfectly fine. And then the final one, Trixie, this one, there has to be some cool stuff you can do with it. What the cool stuff is, I don't know. Because it fills a 5-cube space within 5 feet of it with magical darkness whenever it lands. And that lasts until the end of its next turn, which means hypothetically you can have 2 up at once during its turn. It can't see through the magical darkness, because I don't believe magical darkness can be seen through with dark vision full stop. I think it's either all darkness that is magical cannot be seen through with dark vision, or only darkness specified in the spell darkness that doesn't allow magical or dark vision to see through it works that way. I'm going to say things with dark vision can see through magical darkness unless otherwise stated. So this darkness things can see through is how I'm going to rule it at the time, but I could be wrong. Check with your rules lawyers about this. They'll know better than me. But it gives you like these weird little bubbles of darkness, so you can like blind things unless they scoot. You can, but they can just like it's only 5 feet, so
very short time.
Yeah, but I mean, it also gets to do this every round. So there's it's like you can have it maintain darkness in a space for a while. So maybe you'll like do a Devil Sight Warlock build with this, where it's just like sticking on top of you, and like it runs out, stabs something, blinks next to you, covers you in darkness. And then runs out, stabs something, comes back, covers you in darkness, and you have this little play pattern where you have a darkness up while using your Summon Fey, and that could be neat because you can like see through magical darkness with Devil Sight, but other things can't see you, so they have different attack rolls, and you advantage on attack rolls. There's some cheesiness there. Maybe this is something you do with like you have a way of the Shadow of the Monk that you get to play around with, or you could be like it blinks over, gives them a darkness spot so they can teleport to a different spot, and then they like move between spaces the Fey sets up. That could be pretty cool, but that's like now we're talking about different classes that one of which doesn't get access to the spell at all, like monk, so you have to have either really weird multi-class build or have them in your party. I don't know. I think it's nifty though. Bob, of these 3 options, which go for it.
I was gonna say, if you want to do something like that, just get the darkness spell or something,
But this is also a Fey spirit that punches things, and it punches things pretty hard.
Yeah. Guess that's not the one I'm excited about.
Well, what are you excited about?
I mean, I'm thinking the fuming. Just as long as you're getting extra attacks, give them advantage too. But what was it, the mirthful? That's I'm almost afraid to ask. But how much is out of combat? How much is it worth charming somebody for a minute?
I don't know. So the other thing is you're not the one charming them, the Fey's charming them. So the Fey has to make the skill checks related to that.
Yeah, that's fine, but they're going to come out of that in a minute. Do they not know the Fey is with you?
They do, but the Fey's the only one getting advantage on the charisma checks, right?
I'm not talking about the charisma checks. I'm talking about their attitude after you charm them.
Well, I mean, conceivably. Once you get to like the back end of it, the Fey just starts blinking around them and reattempting until they fail again, and then it refreshes the duration, right?
Yeah,
hypothetically, this just lasts once it lands indefinitely, as long as the Fey is like willing to blink a few more times to make sure that it stays up. Oh, also, I'm sorry, the target is charmed by you and the Fey, so you do get advantage on these charisma checks, which makes it a lot better.
All right, I guess if they're, if they can keep it running indefinitely, that's something.
It even just be like, right, this thing just starts blinking around the room and just attempting to charm anyone that's willing to listen to it. And I would say they would know the fairy's trying to charm it. They don't necessarily know you're trying to charm it, which means you could do some cute little good cop, bad cop stuff where it's like, oh, this fairy's super annoying. But I kind of like him now because he charmed me. And everyone else is like, look at that stupid fairy trying to charm things. And then when they do get charmed, you can be like, oh, that fairy, it's the worst, right? But you still are going to buy me that beer. And we're still going to talk about, that guard roster and who's on watch tonight, right? Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't hate me, you hate the fairy. I think that's a really cool novel use case for it.
Technically, they're buying you the beer, but it's a very expensive beer for you. Third level spell.
Yes, but you're also getting the teleporty fairy nonsense. We haven't even really touched on this thing. Doesn't have a 30-foot teleport at will. Like every single one of its turns is a bonus action. It can teleport wherever it wants to. It's just got Misty Step wherever it wants to go. It does have to see where it's going, like Misty Step does. So there, you're gonna have those limitations. But that will Misty Step for a 3rd level spell slot's not bad, even when it's not you the one doing it, because they just go to the building and take all their register and leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I probably don't have the imaginative capacity to see all the opportunities here. I'm primarily just looking at it as a fight thing, but definitely the mirthful is probably more useful out of combat. But it's just,
It can be useful in both.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like it teleporting to something that's shooting you and be like, stop shooting him. I don't want him to break concentration on this. And then the thing stops shooting you. It's charmed by you, and then it teleports somewhere else. And then you've pacified a creature that was damaging you and making the concentration in danger. That's pretty good. And you can just do that every round to whatever you want until you're attacking one thing, and then you just whittle them down. And now they still attack all your buddies, but they don't attack you with the pixie, the fairy. Like, that's pretty neat. That seems pretty good. Now, granted, it's also a lot to manage. So, like, I think if you want to have the least manageable version of this, you just take Fury, you just take Fuming, and just be like, yeah, it just punches things. It does it better than the.
That's where I am.
Yeah, and I think like it's good that these spells, I think they're at their best whenever they have one clear use. No matter what you do, it's going to be good. And I think that's Fuming. Fuming is just like, no matter how you run this, you don't have to think about it too hard. You're going to get benefit by just saying, I read it can phase step, and now it phase steps a little bit better. I think Mirthful is for the people that really want to engage with this out of combat and still get some use cases in combat with it. And I think Trixie is for people that really want a hard build around, or a way to be like, how do I get a summonable companion and maintain this other darkness-based build? How do I weaponize darkness in a different, unique way? Which is cool. I'm glad there's like very clearly 3 tiers of Fuming is easy, Mirthful is medium, Trixie is hard, as far as like finding ways to incorporate unique patterns in your builds. I want more spells that do that.
Unless you go into it like knowing what you want to do. That's yeah, I like spells like this that have these varied options.
Yeah, me too.
Even if I don't use them.
Yeah, all the summon spells feel somewhat like this. I think Fey is one of the cleanest. As far as like it does unique things, and it does it in very small amount of text comparatively. Now you still have a whole ass stat block in 3 paragraphs of words before it, and you still have to be like, oh, I have to check my proficiency bonus and my spellcasting modifier and this number and that number and what's its strength and its dex. So this is what it adds to the attack rolls, and it gets these dice for damage, which get these modifiers on these dice. There's going to be a lot of like bookkeeping that's going to take some adjustment to with all these kinds of things. It's way easier to manage than the conjure spells. This is way easier than conjure woodland beings. Holy shit, is this spell a breath of fresh air compared to like having to manage pixies or sprites or any of the other nonsense that comes with conjure woodland beings. So like as far as load goes, this is way more approachable than that is. I like it. I'm a fan.
But
I'm a fan of all these stuff.
16 pixies or 8 pixies though?
Too many pixies.
I like that. Even
it's
though
way more powerful.
I agree, it's a nightmare. But
yeah. Bob, you were saying like, oh, I don't want to have to think about Mirthful or Trixie. I'm just taking Fuming, and you're like, oh, don't worry, I'll just casually handle full spell lists of 16 pixies that are under my command now. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I'll probably just have them do the same spell, but yeah, or whatever I choose. But I don't know. That's again, it would come back to me wanting to be annoying.
Sure. I think there's a lot of room for this to be annoying. I think this hits a sweet spot as far as power goes. I definitely think there are enough of these. A lot of tables in the future are going to look like people hit like 3rd to 5th level, and now the party's twice as large because everyone has a summon at their disposal, outside of like your rogues and fighters specifically, where it's just like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm a 5th level ranger. I get access to 2nd level spells. Summon Beast is absolutely something I'm doing now. And whenever you get your Warlock to 5th level, it's like, yeah, I'm upcasting Summon Fey at the 5th level slot because why wouldn't I? And now I have a multi-attacking pixie on my command that uses my pack magic efficiently that has an hour duration. Like, it's really good. All of a sudden, your wizard's like, yeah, there's no reason for me to not have a summon elemental up. There's no reason for the druid not to have one up. There's no reason for the cleric not to have one up. And all of a sudden, the party's twice as large. Everyone having their summon buddy with their concentration because they are really good. And that's something the DM definitely has to think about. And that's something that I don't necessarily love for the game, but it's fine. I think
the more I think about it, I'm starting to warm up to this darkness thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I could just see, bouncing around, casting darkness on one character, like a wizard who needs line of sight to cast a spell or something, or just someone you want to give disadvantage on for one round, and in the meantime your party attacks somebody else, and whatever.
Consider this: there's always the floor. If it teleports next to an ally and puts a bubble around them, that ally can move out of it on their turn. But until that point, all attacks against them are considered blinded, right? They're attacking into darkness. So they will have all attack rolls against that target will have a disadvantage. And that's a neat little defensive tool. Now, granted, you have to you're gonna have like the sort of skirmisher fairy fantasy where it's gonna run in attack, then teleport back and darkness it. But that's at the minimum a pretty good floor to play with. I don't think it's inherently super obvious. But like it's pretty solid. And like you said, breaking line of sight, it does a lot of neat little things. And on top of that, can do some really cool stuff with the shadowy darky build stuff, which are not bountiful, but there are some.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got a rating for this one?
This is a 4. This is a great little summon spell. Very powerful. Not anywhere close to breaking the game like Conjure Minor Elementals or Conjure Woodland Beings, but it's very good. Any character will be, regardless of which of these they are, even if you had ones that are just, you summon the generic stat block, it will be powerful because it costs you no actions and you get an extra friend that does a shitload of damage. Like, this is just I invest in concentration. If I maintain that concentration, I get an absolute baller companion that's probably better than our fighter is at 5th level, just kicking the shit out of things. And that's great.
I think you gave a 4 to the last summon spell we did, and I gave it a 5. But this, yeah, I'm probably being inconsistent, but I'm going to go with your 4 here. It's just, it does a lot of cool things, but I'm probably never going to use them.
Sure.
All right, that was Summon Fey. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.